There are people out there who are driven with self-centered fear and self-centered greed. And yeah, and I've learned a long time ago, if you chase the dollar, you will never have enough. If you chase doing the next right thing, you'll be fulfilled for the rest of your life.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm Cody Crabb with Investor Fuel. Today I'm joined by two guests actually, Nate Armstrong and Chris Lavin. They are co-CEOs of Home Invest Group. These guys specialize in helping rescue troubled multifamily deals. They bring in fresh capital, they help stabilize the asset, and they help out when things start going sideways. Chris has a really awesome story about the behind the mission of the company, so we're going to get into that. Talk about what's happening in the market and how they approach these equity saves. Nate and Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Cody.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Well, Chris, like I said, we were chatting a little about your backstory before we started here. I'd love to get a little bit of info on your background and kind of what shaped the way you see business now that led you down the path that you went down.
Well, 14 years old, I was literally dying behind a dumpster. I was
Wow.
homeless, living there, and that night I'd gone to sleep and woke up to being kicked and beaten and ended up getting stabbed and was literally dying in a pool of my own blood. And I got there as a result of an absolutely horrific home life that put me in that space. But in that moment, behind that dumpster, when that was happening, I didn't know that there was a God, and I didn't know that he even cared that I existed. And a miracle occurred. He sent someone basically to rescue me, and that person was in the form of a prostitute that literally not only saved my life, but put hope back in my heart that there was a God, that he did care, that he did love me, and that I was worth something. And that moment has fueled me to move forward in everything that I do, so that we can do the best that we can to make sure that no child ever feels the way that I felt in that darkest moment of my life, that no child believes that God doesn't exist and that God doesn't love them and that they have no purpose or worth. So that's what drives our company, and that's what the more is in believing more. More has nothing to do with profits, has nothing to do with cash or money or assets. It has everything to do with using the talents that God's blessed us with to have a positive impact in the world. That drives our company, and that drive turns into capital success in ways that you just couldn't even imagine. Because our focus and our goal is on the positive impact, the profits just seem to come easier than in any other circumstance that I've ever been in.
Isn't that funny?
God bless that. What's that?
I said, isn't that funny when you're focused on the good stuff? Somehow it just works out.
Correct.
Yeah.
God has blessed me from that moment behind the dumpster to many successes. I built several companies and exited very well. And along the way, I learned that, you got to pay taxes, that's something that I don't like doing, is paying taxes, because those tax dollars, they don't feed kids. They feed a government that builds bridges to nowhere. So through Home Invest and through other multifamily transactions, we've learned to minimize our tax consequences and maximize our ability to have a positive impact in the world. So that's the mission goal of this company, is to help our investors avoid taxes or kick the tax liability down the road while earning profits, but most of all, having a positive impact in the world.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
That's fantastic. So I'm curious, like I have the real estate current present day part, and I have this origin story. I'm curious how those connected. Like what was the bridge between those two?
Taxes. My last exit was for a large $8 million, eight-figure exit, and I didn't want to write that $20 million check to the IRS. And in order to do that, I knew enough about real estate that could be the vehicle with which would help me defer those taxes or mitigate my tax liability. And I started searching on the internet for gurus, right? And I bought several courses, and I did this and I did that, and none of them really added up. And that's when I met this guy, Nate Armstrong, who has the same heart and the same morals and the same goals that I have. And we partnered on 1 or 2 transactions, and it went so well. I later wrote a very large check and bought half the company, and we've been partners ever since, sharing the same goals, the same mission statement, and really doing what we do to positively impact the world. And we do that 2 ways, right? We do it through the traditional real estate syndication, but we also share our knowledge and our experience and our expertise through our academy, teaching other people how to do what we do, right? To multiply our talents, because 2 men can only do so much. But if we can teach other people to do what we do and have a positive impact on the world, amazing and beautiful things start to happen with that ripple effect.
Yeah, Investor feels huge on just the sharing of knowledge. Like rising tide lifts all ships. There's nothing bad will happen from just helping, like giving out knowledge and helping spread like what the expertise we have and things. So with that mission in mind, let's talk about what you guys are actually doing in the market right now. So for people hearing this for the first time, they may not be aware of, what is an equity save? Like what is going on during that process? Can you give us just a quick overview of what is actually happening in an equity save?
Yeah. So in the capital stack, this is multifamily specifically. You can do it with smaller stuff, but multifamily, if you've ever been an investor or you're considering investing, know that first comes the bank loan, then comes the equity on top of that. So the capital stack, the back part of it, the equity, what happens in a situation where the market changes, if values start to go down and the lender starts to get antsy and maybe the loan expires, the equity is at risk. They can be literally wiped out by a process called foreclosure. And unfortunately, there's a lot of that happening right now. We hit a huge debt maturity wall. It started in 2025, and it's probably going to go for the next 24 months or so. And a lot of investors are facing literal wipeout. Chris and I, we just took another one up in Atlanta. Literally, this particular one, it appraised for $122 million. And their debt on it was 71 million. They were about to take an offer just over their debt amount, and it was just going to wipe them all out just to pay off the debt and get out of it. Why? Well, they made some bad operating decisions. The main general partner running it made some mistakes. And so it started to snowball out of control. And it got to the point where they needed to inject a lot of money, like a lot, to get units back online and things like that. And they didn't have the funds to do it. So they were forced to literally just liquidate, just sell it for the debt amount. And that's where Chris and I came in, and Chris really put a nice proposal on the table for him and said, look, we're willing to take over your debt. We're also willing to inject the cash that's missing in this equation, and we'll keep your investors along for the ride. And so what that looks like is that we're buying it, we're buying it for their debt, we're stabilizing it with our money. And then on the backside, when we sell, we're going to take profit to take care of our investors, our new investors. And then we're going to taking any excess profit and giving it to the original investors in that deal. So we're helping them save, whereas they would have lost everything.
Yeah, we saw the opportunity to come in and do this, and we just couldn't allow it to happen. Our investors are gonna make a healthy profit, our business is gonna make a profit, and at the end of the day, they're gonna get some of their equity back. I mean, if you could just imagine, some of them saved all their lives, and they invested with these people, and now that's gone. We couldn't stand by and allow that to happen,
Yeah.
and so this is really, really driven by God.
So, why is it that people are finding themselves in this position? I mean, you mentioned it was kind of partially due to kind of market forces, Nate. Is it just that, or are there other factors as well?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Well,
You don't want me to answer that question. You go ahead and answer. You're nicer than I am.
I did another call with a seller in Texas yesterday, and the seller had basically taken out a 3-year loan. Multifamily loans, they're not 30-year fixed loans. They're generally 3-year or 5-year, sometimes 10. And this 3-year loan, it was a variable rate, so it's floating. It goes up and down with whatever the market's doing. And he literally was bleeding cash. He thought that he could have got in, bumped up the rents, and then refinanced into a permanent long-term loan. But what happened is that the rate environment changed drastically. When he originally took out that loan, it would have been a low interest loan, and now it's a high interest loan. It almost doubled on him. And when he goes to refinance with any other bank in town, they're saying, well, you don't have enough in rent coming in to support a loan at this level. And so that was just his kind of poor planning on bank financing, really.
That's not poor planning. That's ignorance. That's absolute. These players that got into this market when interest rates were at 2%. It's really easy to be a hero when the cost of money is 2% and you're giving 6% to investors. It's super simple. But these guys get in. They don't know how to manage market or cash or have any kind of predictability. And to have taken a variable rate loan is like, first rule, no, you don't do it. Like, you don't know where you're going to end up. It's bad business all around. So that was their first mistake. They got into an arena where they were uncomfortable and they didn't know how to maneuver in that arena. And like I said, it's super easy when you're paying 2% for money. It's a little bit more difficult when you're paying 7. It's a huge difference in cash availability in that process.
Yeah. I think, Cody, the other one would really just be operations. Ignorance. Yeah. If insurance rates went up after we had hurricanes come through the whole Gulf Coast region, and insurance rates went up, taxes have gone up in several states. And when operators have a thick budget, when they've got plenty of excess, it's easy to look good. But when things get a little bit tighter, when taxes go up, when insurance goes up, and they can't operate. Warren Buffett often says it's easy to see who's swimming naked when the tide goes out.
Yeah.
And right now the tide has gone out. We're seeing who's naked.
Not only that, these guys underwrote to pie in the sky, dreams. Like we underwrite very, very, very conservatively. And then our chief portfolio officer makes it even more conservative. So we're always very safe in our underwriting and our pro formas and our projections and predictions. These guys, they were selling the dream to their investors, and it just didn't pan out. It turned out to be a nightmare.
So I guess my question is, I mean, we've talked about, well, what are some of the early warning signs? Like, if someone does not want to end up in this position, what is the number one thing they should be watching for? I mean, you said, like, make sure you're fully aware of the risk and things, but is there any other tips that you would also call out there?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, if you're an investor in a property right now, here's the warning signs. If your GP is slow on communication, GP meaning general partner, the managing partner, if they're slow on communication, red flag number one, because they're scrambling, they're trying to figure out what to do. Number two, if they're saying, hey, we can no longer do distributions, we can't make the quarterly distributions anymore, that's a huge red flag. Number three, if they're incurring more debt on the asset to try to get through, that's a huge red flag. Number four, if anything from their original business plan is not being hit and they have excuses on the why, that's a huge red flag. It probably means that they're in if you picture a quarterback in football, when they get that ball and their job is to throw it, sometimes their linemen break down. That's a sign their lineman's breaking down. The quarterback is about to get sacked. They're about to get knocked down behind their own line of scrimmage. And that means losses for potential investors. If you're an investor in a project and you're seeing any of those signs, that's probably a good time to have another expert look over your shoulder at the deal to see if there's something to be salvaged. Because if you wait too long, if you wait to get hit as that quarterback and knocked down, you might just lose the ball and lose your profit, lose all your money.
One of the things that I also caution new investors and new deals is what's the cadence of communication. See, on all of our deals, we literally have monthly town hall meetings. We get on Zoom, we talk about each property. We allow our investors to ask questions, ask about how the business plan is executing, ask how things are. And not only that, we also have our portfolio and all of our important documents online available to them 24/7. So if your syndicate or your GP is not doing that, I would start asking a lot of questions, and pressuring them.
Pressuring them to what exactly?
Pressuring them to come up with some answers and responsive share some of their insight into what's going on in the financials and all of the other stuff in and around the deal, so that you know where you're heading. Unfortunately, most of the time, once you sign and send your money in, you're kind of stuck. But if you find out that your GP is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you might be able to persuade them, quote unquote, into refunding or giving you back some of your investment before things get real bad real quick.
So going back to the whole mission and everything, you were pretty adamant when we were talking before, you were pretty adamant that this is not just like, we're just swooping in and getting a distressed asset for cheap. Like you were like, that is not what this is. I am curious
Yes.
what you see, how you see that difference. So like how's your approach different from somebody just trying to swoop in and grab it?
Could you tell them about Frankie as well?
Oh God.
Sorry.
That's all right. So listen, back in the day, I was involved in the whole Orlando music scene. You're probably too young to know what that is. The Backstreet Boys and Sync, all of that stuff. And a guy by the name of Lou Pearlman. Lou Pearlman, up to recently, ran the largest Ponzi scheme ever. $250 million. He literally stole from his investors. My best friend, Frankie Vasquez, worked with Lou and thought Lou was like a dad to him. And Lou convinced Frankie and everybody around them to invest everything in Lou and into this Ponzi scheme that Lou was running. And my friend Frankie convinced his mom to put her life savings at 80 years old, 84 years old at the time, into this Ponzi scheme. And when it went south and Lou got arrested, everything was gone.
Wow.
And my friend Frankie's mom was left with nothing. To make matters worse, Frankie was so ridden with guilt. He got drunk one night, put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. So he took the coward's way out and left his mom to bear the burden of burying her only son with no finances. So every one of my investors is that woman.
Hmm. It's personal for you.
I will give my last penny to make sure that they don't lose a dime. And I guard and I steward over their money like it's Iris's money.
Hmm.
Every time, every deal, always. That's my mission.
Wow. Pretty speechless after that. I think if everybody had that kind of drive behind what they do, I think this would be a little bit of a different world. If they had just, that much conviction and resolve behind what they do, and so that's really admirable. And I think we could do well to remember that, like, I mean, everybody, we're dealing with real people here. Everybody, this is real
Yes.
estate, but everybody is a person that's involved here. So, um, thank you for opening up and sharing that. That's amazing. Um,
Cody, you're so right. And Chris, I didn't get to tell you this, but the seller in Texas that we talked to yesterday, the GP was on the line with us, and he literally said, he's like, well, the investors are the investors. They're big boys and big girls, and they have to understand that the market has dropped, and that's just it is what it is. So they're going to go forward whatever. When I heard that, I was literally like under the desk, like, "Ugh," like, are you serious? You're the guy that's giving us a bad rap. And I after we hung up, I literally told to Jared, the other guy on the call, I'm like, I really don't want anything to do with this with
Uh,
that guy in charge. No
yeah,
way.
it's horrible. People really think that way, though. But listen, one thing that I operate my life on is every penny that's in my checking account doesn't belong to me, it belongs to God. And it's funny because I look at the money that people give us as God's money, and we gotta steward that, like, right? We gotta be good stewards to everything that happens. I can't I couldn't sleep. I couldn't put my head on a pillow with thoughts like that. I just don't understand how that works, and it's horrible. But it exists. There are people out there who are driven with self-centered fear and self-centered greed, and, yeah, and I've learned a long time ago, if you chase the dollar, you will never have enough. If you chase doing the next right thing, you'll be fulfilled for the rest of your life.
wow, wow. Now that's some really good advice there, because I feel like a lot of times with business and things, we tend to kind of try to separate that as if it's like
Mhm.
they're just like numbers on a page, or things like a kind of not even a real, like almost a game, like where we're just kind of playing with numbers on a spreadsheet. But it's so much more real than that, and keeping that in mind is always going to be, like I said, I think kind of funny that when you focus on these important things, how things just kind of have worked out well for you. And I think that's a really good example. So let's say, um, someone is, the operator, they are seeing things starting to slip. I know we kind of touched on this, but I'm curious, what is like the first move that you can make to kind of make to save it from, going beyond saving, if that makes sense. Like what's a like what is, like, we said the red flags, but like what's an action item for those red flags?
Yeah, let me just kind of take you to a 10,000-foot view.
Yeah.
So when Chris ended up partnering with me, one of the first things we did in the portfolio that I already had is he looked through the whole thing and said, "Hey, interest rates too high there." That, like, strategize, look at the whole thing, see it from a 10,000-foot view. And Chris pulled some strings because of his, God's blessed him and he's done very well. So banks love him. And we literally had the vice president of Greystone fly down from New York to meet with Chris and basically say, "Hey, borrow more money,
Oh, my
take more."
money.
And so Chris has access to some loans that everyday people are never gonna touch. And so if let's just say you're an operator out there or you're a limited partner on a deal and you don't really know if it's in trouble or not, but you're worried about it, I would have someone like Chris look at it
Hmm.
and see, is there another financing option? Is there a different way we can bring in equity instead of, not paying the taxes because it seems, like the easy one to skip. Taxes pound you double digits, like the percent and penalties and late fees, like don't start making those corners cut. Instead, you bring in somebody that might be able to help. And someone like Chris, he's got a heart, number one. Number two, he's got financial savvy. So having him look over your shoulder could serve a lot in that equation.
And from an LP's perspective, the actual, mom and pop investor, what they should be doing is, like I said, asking for the financials and asking for insight into what the deal is doing if they're seeing these red flags. And then force their GP to make decisions and make moves to go outside and seek outside counsel or to seek help and to make decisions that will be maybe uncomfortable for the GP, but will save the deal in whole. Like there are deals that we're not doing or performing the way they were supposed to, and Nate and I literally gave away our GP portion to make that deal whole. Where we're not making any profit on the deal to make sure our investors were protected. There were some assets that were presented that by an operator that weren't as they were supposed to be, and the guy lied. Imagine that. And it was somebody that we trusted. So we took the position that nope, we're the ones taking the hit. The investors are going to do fine, and we're able to make those moves. As an LP investor, you got to pressure your GP to do the right thing, to expose what's going on, be honest and open and candid about the deal, so you can work together as partners to save the property.
Yeah. So let's look down the road. I mean, right now things are looking good. What plans do you have to kind of build this out as you're going down, let's say 5-10 years down the road? And what's the biggest challenge you see standing in your way from doing that?
Okay, so I'm going to take us back to the Blues Brothers movie. I don't know if you're old enough to know who the Blues Brothers are.
I'm
You
aware
know
of the
the Blues Brothers?
concept. I don't know if I've actually
All
seen
right,
it, but
so they can't stop us. We're on a mission from God, right? It's one of the big lines in that movie.
yeah.
Right now, I'm here to tell you that we're almost out of the season of buying, right? So the easy, cheap deals where, like Nate was talking about, the debt wall has ended. That time in 2025 has ended where all this debt has come due, and these people can't refinance at reasonable rates because they don't know how to operate. These deals are getting small, less and less and less, and it being more difficult to acquire them. So buy. We plan on acquiring between $500 and $750 million this year in additional assets to ride the wave out and then just ride these properties into the next 5-10 years, continuing to add at least $150 to $200 million a quarter. Those deals are going to change in what they look like because of the state of the economy, obviously. Interest rates, right? That's a big factor in these things. And lastly, is insurance. Insurance in some of the regions have been prohibited from acquisition as a result of the rates. So we're starting to see insurance rates pull back and other things that are going to affect the price of these properties. So we have fortunately been blessed to partner with, like Nate said, Greystone, and now we're partnering with another big lender that they will hand us their properties so that they don't have to operate them or bring them back on their books, have us take over their loans and just go out and continue to operate the property. Because most people don't know this, but when a bank forecloses on a property, let's say it's $100 million loan, they have to have $700 million in cash to shore that up. So they don't want to do that. They'd rather bring in special operations, get somebody like us, put us in there, let us take over the debt and move it forward. So our strategy right now is to do the next right thing continually. And people are recognizing us for who we are and what we're doing. And it's just getting easier in an insane market, believe it or not. I'm sorry. That was a real simple question I answered with a complicated answer.
That's pretty much everything in this business is like easy question, hard answer. So thank you for doing that. And I think it was very clear too. So if people want to learn more about what you're doing or work with you or collaborate with you in some way, where can they go to find out more?
Yeah, multifamily help. So it's multifamily.help. Multifamily.help.
Like a website. It's
That's
dot help.
Yep, it's a website.
Yeah.
Multifamily.help. And we're happy to look over your shoulder and give another look.
And we've got all kinds of ways to help you. We have to partner with you deals. We have an academy to teach you how to do these things safely. We have ways for you to get involved with us directly to help you be in on your deals with you. We've been blessed with amazing experience and wisdom as a result of mistakes and just length in the market. So that we can help in all kinds of ways.
Wow. Well, Chris, Nate, this was a really powerful conversation. I appreciate you guys sharing what you did and the heart behind the business, and as well as the practical side. So I really appreciate the insights you've shared. And Chris, for being so vulnerable and open. I think sometimes we don't get a whole lot of that. And I think that can really make a difference to really.
Thank you very kindly.
Yeah. So we appreciate all that. And so, last question here as we wrap up. What would you say if you had one little nugget? I'd love one from each of you, for operators or investors that are listening. Let's say you're in front of you are in front of an audience of real estate investors. Let's say you were at like a conference or something. I hand you the mic for like a 10-second. Here's a little tip that I think would help you move the needle that most people don't know. I'd love to hear one from each of you. This is one of my favorite things to ask. Can we get some good stuff?
You go first. If you're not
Yeah,
ready,
no pressure.
I'll do it. All right, so listen, there's two ways to succeed in this world. One way is to just succeed financially, making that great investment. The second way to succeed, and the more fulfilling way to succeed, is to invest, make money, and have a positive impact. Find a partner that has got that purpose and that goal, and I'm here to tell you, you will never worry about your money again, and you'll never worry about fulfillment. It's the best thing in the world.
Wow.
Invest with purpose.
Wow, and you somehow made it even more succinct after that. That's amazing. All right, Nate, I pity you for having to follow that, but go.
Oh man, that's tough act. Yeah, start a nonprofit, do something much bigger than yourself. Do something like this weekend. We got a bunch of kids coming here through our Home Invest Kids nonprofit, and we're teaching them something simple, but it's public speaking skills so that they don't have the shaky knees in front of their class and things like that. But we get more joy out of doing that than closing a $71 million deal.
Yes.
So start something that makes your heart pump, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Love
It's a
that.
beautiful thing.
Wow. And you still did it. You stuck the landing. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Like I said, we really, really appreciate your time.
Oh, I just got one more thing.
Oh, yeah, go
I
ahead.
want to make sure we properly shout out what you and Mike are doing in the Investor Fuel community. There are very few really good people out there that are gathering a community like this. I love what your work has done. It's only grown and gotten better over the last 14 years that I've watched it. So just thank you guys for doing what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, well, thank you. I will make sure Mike hears that as well. That's always great to hear. Well, like I said, audience, if you got something out of that, which I'm sure you did, please go ahead and hit like or subscribe so you can get the next episode. And until then, we'll see you on the next week's episode of the Real Estate Pros podcast. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.